Hey, good morning, guys. It is Monday. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend. Specifically, the president on Saturday raised the global tariffs to 15%. We're going to talk about this and more. Nasdaq is down. S&P is down today. If you take a look at gold, gold is actually a little elevated from the elevated fears and uncertainty. Silver is as well, I'm assuming here. Yeah, silver is up. And yeah, markets are still kind of digesting this recent news. So Friday, we did get a tariff update. You guys have probably heard about this already. We did a short on it also. But the Supreme Court made their decision on the tariffs beginning on Friday. They reversed the president's IEEPA tariffs, and the president already came out basically saying that they were going to find other ways to implement them, basically. Again, the Supreme Court shot down the administration's IEEPA-based Liberation Day tariffs. The president then announced a 10% tariff, global tariff on Friday under Section 122 of the 74 Trade Act. On Saturday, he raised that to 15%, and with immediate effect, the statutory maximum allowed under the section. But the thing about these tariffs is that they're temporary and they expire after 150 days. And so unless Congress extends them, which Schumer has already come out basically saying, no, he's not going to extend them. Again, unless Congress extends them, they go away after that. And so he could allow them to lapse and then re-implement the same type of tariffs. But that's less likely. What he will probably do is target the existing 301 tariffs. And so, again, Section 232 National Security and Section 301 tariffs remain unchanged and intact. But those require investigation as well. So, yeah, we're going to go more detailed into this. Again, the Dixie is slightly lower this morning, down at 97s. If we take a look at the dollar index here. But now it's basically flat on the day. Again, metals are up on the renewed tensions with Iran as well. Part of that is helping. Again, metals have kicked off the week up amid uncertainties from tariffs and geopolitical tensions with Iran. Safe haven assets have been rising a little bit this morning following the Supreme Court decision on Friday. Again, the president raised 15% tariffs. So SEB pegs the global average of tariffs around 12%. Budget Labs and others see the effective U.S. tariff rate at around 13.7%. versus roughly 16% under the old IEEPA regime. Again, but the current Section 122 tariffs can only run for a maximum of 150 days. They're effective February 24th, which is tomorrow, after which any extension needs congressional approval, which again, I don't think he's going to get. Shifting uncertainty in how revenue is replaced and what comes next. And I think that might be why the market is down some. Catch back up on the chat. Free market still very flat, needs bigger reactions. Gold and silver is the play. Hey, what's up, Jay? What's up, Chef? Bam Bam, Todd, John, Discipline, Mr. Ava, Black, Pascal, Halal, Big Slum, Steve, Sergio, VA, Brian, Keegan, Paulo, Kelvin, Artist, everybody else. Alton, Straight. Damn. Yeah, they didn't replace all tariffs, basically. They said the IEEPA tariffs needed congressional approval first. What they really changed is the precedent. And obviously, they reversed some of the ones that he did under IEEPA, which is the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. But what they really changed the precedent. Like, moving forward, presidents are not going to be able to do this without congressional approval. Is what changed from this decision mostly. I mean, obviously they can roll back the tariffs and refunds can be given to companies, but it changes the precedent moving forward, is what it does. So. And yeah, look at the dollar index. So the dollar index is up. The Nasdaq has been falling down a little bit, still red on the day and still falling down. I'm watching this 25,000 level. I think that level makes a lot of sense. The previous closing price for us is right above that. Again, Street's take is that Section 301 tariffs is the most likely next lever to rebuild back up to the current, to the previous tariff rates that we were at. Again, Section 301. Higher near-term 301 risks for countries that made up 10% of U.S. imports in 2025. This includes Brazil, South Africa. If we take a look at yields today, yields are kind of where they were on Friday, to be honest. They haven't really moved much, and we do have some stuff this week. We have like PPI inflation data coming out this week. So we have some stuff going on. Here's a 5-day chart. You can kind of see yields are really just flat from where they were on Friday. So they're unchanged. They're at 4.071% right now, 4.071%. And yeah, we'll see what we get right now. We'll see what we get. But and again, just to put this into perspective, Section 301 tariffs are extra duties the U.S. can slap on specific countries or products when they're found to be using unfair trade practices that specifically hurt the U.S. commerce, like IP theft or forced tech transfer. You know, and so these are going to need more investigations, is what I heard. Like, they're not going to be necessarily as easy to implement as the previous ones. And again, earlier we had U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said that will today state that the Senate Democrats will not support the extension of Section 122 tariffs beyond the initial 150-day window. So again, he's not going to get Senate support on extending the ones he's doing now. And this is all just a little bit too political for me, but it's market news that influences things. So this market will be propped up until it simply cannot anymore. End of the dollar and AI crash for major catalysts, in my opinion. Maybe that happens. I don't know. It's possible. Well, tariffs are absorbed by the consumer because businesses raise prices to compensate for the tariffs, you know. Yeah, Nvidia earnings this week is the big Super Bowl of this week, really. I mean, we have PPI inflation data on Friday, but Nvidia earnings is the big thing this week for sure. Again, that's all. Most of the big news is the tariff news today. We've had some other stuff drop this morning. Look at the dollar index shoot up, though. The dollar index is heading up here. Again, we had Malaysia's government sign a $250 billion deal with ARM Holdings to provide chip design software access to local companies. Upstart signed a $12 million forward flow agreement with Wafra. The Supreme Court overturning the U.S. tariffs did provide some relief. It looks like the FedEx here on Friday. FedEx did go up some. It's been going up the last little while. Oracle, multiple law firms filed security class action lawsuits alleging materials misstatements and regarding AI data center capabilities and infrastructure strategy. But again, stocks are down, futures are down a little bit. Investors are still grappling with the fallout from the tariff announcement on Friday is what this is. It's thrown major trade deals in doubt. We even had the European Union come out saying the EU is set to freeze trade deal approved over U.S. President Trump's tariff risks. They also sold 6.092 billion versus 7 billion euros expected. But the EU envoy is going to discuss trade relations with the U.S. at a meeting scheduled for this afternoon. The Secretary of War Hegseth is going to meet with Anthropic CEO on Tuesday. And because of the more recent, we did get some Iran news as well coming out. Domino's Pizza posted earnings. EU Trade Commissioner Šefčovič is going to hold a call with the G7 later today. The EU did come out saying it will accept no increase in U.S. tariffs. A deal is a deal. And so, yeah. Companies put up their prices because of tariffs, and so the cost of the tariffs are passed on. The consumer pays more. The consumer should get, well, not companies. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's not how always is. That's not how it's gonna always go. I think, unfortunately, even if the consumer's the one getting taxed here. Yeah, I mean, straitjacket, that's a little bit too controversial for me to go into. I'm not going to talk about any attacks like that, really. You know, it's pretty clear. A little bit too, yeah. Yeah, we'll see if he tweets about tariff news today, Czar. I'm not sure. Good morning. Appreciate everything you do. What website are you getting this info from? I'd like to look at it. I'm looking at a bunch of different websites, to be honest. I kind of diversify in news sources. Yeah, the logistics are bad, and even in the Supreme Court document that we got on Friday, it said that the refunds are going to be, and I'm quoting the document. They said the refunds are going to be, quote, a mess, end quote. You know, that's what the document said. The literal document from the Supreme Court said, the refund aspect is going to be a mess. Is literally what they said. So we'll see what that looks like. I think that's why markets are down a little bit today, although they're really not down that much. Like, I expected more volatility from this on Friday, and I was surprised we even got a tariff decision on Friday. But yesterday on Sunday, the futures market opened up red, dipped, and on Friday we did get some good action from the Nasdaq as well. So kind of back and forth. Anyone else think this is the calm before the storm? Maybe. Yeah, again, one of the things I said prior to the tariff decision coming out is that it could go either way. Again, Google was upgraded at Wells Fargo. Jefferies downgraded apps, software names. The software is still getting hit a little bit today. I'm trying to take a look at my portfolio. My portfolio is down also. Mostly in Microsoft, Netflix, PayPal. But my portfolio is down on. But again, I said it could go either way. We could reverse these tariffs and react positively to it because, you know, when we had originally implemented the IEEPA tariffs in April, markets reacted very negatively. A lot of stuff corrected 20+%, including indexes. And so just the opposite outcome would be a reversal of those tariffs, and maybe we'll get a bullish reaction. I also said one of the biggest risks to this is that it restarts the volatility cycle of the tariffs, because he's going to find ways to implement the tariffs anyway, and then when he announces that implementation of the tariffs, then maybe we'll get negative reactions. And I don't know if we have either one of those things yet. We did get some announcements on Friday and Saturday, but it looked like the market actually went up some from it, so it's maybe markets just don't know what to do right now. Again, gold and silver, the big winner from this, I think. You know, uncertainty is reigning right now, and I think that is boosting gold and silver. There's no reason for markets to be pushing higher. We need new lows to bring in value. Yeah, you might be right. Again, you might be right. I don't know. Yeah, my stocks are down slightly today. Gold and silver up. Nasdaq still testing that 24.9s here. All right, so Iran saw renewed anti-government protests over the weekend. Large student-led demonstrations in Tehran. U.S. is intensifying pressure ahead of the nuclear talks, combining sanctions, public threats of potential military action, and big military buildup around the Gulf region. the president and his current administration are weighing strikes. Oil, because of that, is up again today at $66 a barrel here for oil. Again, I'm reading news that the president and his advisors are openly weighing limited or potential larger strikes against the nuclear and military infrastructure if these talks fail. So more instability news. And you can see oil on the left here is pushing up to $66 a barrel. Nasdaq is breaking down a little bit still. Bristol Meyer announced positive top-line results. Again, we did have Domino's Pizza post earnings this morning. I'll put the earnings up right here. Kramer's bullish on SanDisk. SanDisk is kind of swingy though, man. It's back to the top of the range. It doesn't look terrible, but whether it holds is a different story. I don't know. Memory prices are high right now. For example, if Congress passes a law to restrict the president's role as president to a figurehead only, shaking hands with foreign then the markets will go up. I think that's probably true. Everyone knows a big drop soon, so markets might play it differently. I can't wait till the drop so I can get in positions. Yeah, I'll probably buy up if we drop, depending on how big we drop. If we drop big, I will probably buy stuff up. Again, Iran came out earlier that said any U.S. attack, including limited strikes, will be considered an act of aggression. Well, yeah. I mean, are schools closed? Oh, your weather's still bad, Pawn? Yeah, so we're trying to bounce up a little bit. We'll see if we do here. But yeah, the Nasdaq is red. SPY is red. Most tech stocks are red. If we take a look at actual tech stocks this morning, again, SanDisk looks a little green on the day, though. Apple looks slightly red. Yeah, Apple's down. Microsoft's down. Alphabet's green, slightly. AMD's down. Netflix is down. Amazon is down. The most Mag 7 stocks are down this morning here. All right, guys, it's Monday. Oof. Be -8 up with a shot. Barely any snow on the ground, not even 1/10 of an inch here, but I guess they sent a text. Yeah, it's kind of like Louisiana. In Louisiana, if we get any freezing outcome at all, everything's canceled. Infrastructure shuts down. Nobody knows what to do. All right, so the UK government spokesperson says nothing is off the table in response to the U.S. tariffs. They're discussing tariffs with the U.S. administration at all levels and that talks will continue. We did have Dominion Energy come out with earnings just now. There's Dominion Energy earnings in the chat here. This is D company. They are down a little bit from their earnings. Yeah, Nvidia earnings this week, guys. Here's Nvidia right now. Nvidia's back up to almost 190 right now, though, ahead of its earnings report. Although we did get rumors about Nvidia earnings earlier. Hold on, let me see what it was. I know I read something about Nvidia earlier. Yeah, Nvidia earnings are going to be Wednesday evening, 25th. Again, U.S. is going to make tariff decision on solar panels from India, Indonesia, and Laos. Again, software companies are now facing higher costs and scrutiny as the AI threat to them rises. Smart glasses are also giving a glimpse of how AI is threatening physical goods too, apparently. But gold, silver are up today. Again, Nvidia earnings this week is going to be interesting. Again, I think the big story of Nvidia earnings this week is the same story we've seen for most stock earnings this week, which is that it needs a beat and raise scenario. It needs to beat EPS, beat revenue, raise guidance. Again, there's been a broader tech sector sell-off, but we'll see if they recover. Again, they're expecting 152 EPS, up from 89 cents in the same period last year. Revenue 65.5 billion, up from 39.3 billion last year, 65% increase. New products potentially coming for Nvidia as well. So, at the end of the third quarter, Jensen Huang said that the company had a path towards 500 billion in revenue from Blackwell and Rubin lines. So, again, Western Digital launches a $3.09 billion. Let me take a look at this. So yeah, I'm reading an article right now that says that Pawn just sent me. Hold on, let me look this up on here. My phone's too slow. Yeah, so on February 18th, so a few days ago, SanDisk announced a secondary public offering of 3.09 billion of common stock currently owned by Western Digital. They will not issue new shares or receive proceeds from the transaction. It includes a concurrent debt for equity exchange. I mean, it makes sense why their prices are still so high. Again, on January, Bank of America raised SanDisk price target to $8.50 from $3.90. Again, SanDisk was founded in 1988. It designed, manufacture flash memory cards, USB, and solid-state solutions. So, they're the company that's going to benefit with high memory. Will Nvidia beat or raise their earnings? I don't know. I really don't know. Again, the Nasdaq is now back over the volume weighted average price. That's good. The 200 EMA is still pretty high above it, though. Again, we have PPI inflation data later this week, as well as Nvidia earnings. You get investors focusing on AI demand sustainability and maybe China exports for Nvidia. Again, here's SanDisk. Here's Nvidia. Nvidia moving up a little bit though in pre-market. Let me take there's some other news I should probably watch. Let me check. Again, Trump may soften tariff threats ahead of election, according to Berenberg. So new U.S. tariff threats could be less aggressive as elections near, according to Berenberg analyst Attican. Studies from the Fed Reserve Bank of New York and the Kiel Institute for the World Economy shows tariffs in 25 largely hit U.S. firms and consumers. Rising domestic costs. The president is expected to take less confrontational approach on tariffs ahead of the November midterms. You guys agree with that? Y'all think he'll be less aggressive? Again, Wells says the U.S. tariff situation is rapidly evolving. And again, the United Kingdom doesn't expect U.S. tariff ruling to affect most trade. Again, according to Wells, they said UK is discussing tariffs with the U.S. administration at all levels. Again, the president did come out this, criticizing the Supreme Court just recently. Okay. Ads. Yeah, okay, so 34 minutes ago, the president came out basically saying the Supreme Court will be using the Supreme Court of the U.S. accidentally and unwittingly gave me, as President of the United States, far more power and strength than I had prior to their ridiculous, dumb, and very internationally divisive ruling. And again, I'm quoting here, for one thing, I can use licenses to do absolutely terrible things to foreign countries, especially those countries that have been ripping us off for many decades, but incomprehensibly, according to the ruling, can't charge them a license fee, but all licenses charge fees. Why can't the US do so? You do a license to get a fee. The opinion doesn't explain that, but I know the answer. The court has also approved all of the tariffs the court has also approved all other tariffs, of which there are many, and they can be used in a much more powerful and obnoxious way with legal certainty than the tariffs as initially used. Our incompetent Supreme Court did a great job for the wrong people, and that they should be ashamed of themselves. The next thing you know, they will rule in favor of China and others who are making an absolute fortune on the birthright citizenship by saying the 14th Amendment was not written to take care of babies. Yeah, he's getting a little bit too I'm not controversial, I guess is the word. But what he's basically saying is that the tariffs he's going to implement now are going to, he's going to have more justification for them legally. Let me do a poll here. I would say, are you happy the tariffs were reversed? I would make that the poll, but I honestly think it's too divisive, and I think we're just gonna, the net effect of that is that we're gonna get political arguments. And so I would ask that question. Are you happy the tariffs were reversed? Again, my worry is that it's just gonna make it too divisive. So what's a good poll question today? Chat, give me some answers here. I think what he says is he's the best. Nobody does it like him. Yeah, people walk in the room. They say, John, that's an amazing YouTube show you have there. Tariffs want some attention. Yeah, gold's up. Gold's elevated on uncertainty. Gold's still pushing up. Look at gold. 51.80s right now for gold. I love tacos personally, Is a deal a deal? Well, whether a deal's the deal has to do with contracts. If they're contractually signed, I mean, in that regard, a deal's a deal. If we have signatures, and there's protections for this type of stuff in those contracts that are signed, in that situation, a deal's a deal. They're SOL. Yeah. Will the tariff reversal news make markets rise this morning? Yes or no? That's going to be the question for the poll here today. Will the tariff reversals make markets rise? Yeah, I mean, and again, going into it, look, I'm not going to be hypercritical or supportive of anybody or anything. I think both sides need to figure out ways to work with each other. And I think one of the things that we're seeing, especially in regards to Congress, is that both sides will agree or disagree, regardless of whether both sides will block things, regardless of whether they agree with it or not. Both sides will do different things, regardless of whether they agree with them or not, just because they're the other side. And I think that dynamic, if we allow that to continue, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and there's just obviously going to be more problems. It's why I hate politics in general. No, we're going red again. I mean, we got a long way up to go green on the day, but it's not that far. We got to get up here. It looks like we're about $150 away. Green or red. Yeah, I just mean the IEEPA. Maybe I should have specified the IEEPA tariffs. I know he found ways to implement them anyway. And again, just to go back to the news we covered earlier this morning, the president recently, after the reversal of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act tariffs, did Section 122 tariffs. They can run for a maximum of 150 days. They're going to be effective as of tomorrow, February 24th. Again, they can run for 150 days max, after which any extension needs congressional approval. And the Senate has already come out basically saying they would not grant approval for an extension after the 150-day period is up. Again, the street take is that the Section 301 tariffs are going to be the most likely next lever to build the tariff rates back up to where they were. Higher near-term 301 risk for countries that made up 10% of U.S. imports in 2025. This includes Brazil and South Africa and more. But that's the next, probably, in regards to when the tariffs are going to, what kind of tariffs they're going to implement moving forward. It's going to be Section 301 tariffs, I think. Yeah, the overall tariffs are now 15%. That's correct. And so essentially what happened is that the Supreme Court's reversal on Friday happened, and then the president pivoted to a 15%. Originally, it was 10% on Friday, and then Saturday he announced 15% global tariffs under Section 122. Again, markets don't know how long these tariffs will actually last. I think they're going to last 150 days. Yeah, I don't think they're going to get approved past 150 days. What I think here. Bro, my hip hurts, dude. I hurt my hip, dude. I feel like I'm getting old. You know? Like, bro, my son, sometimes we go on walks. And my son always wants to race. Sometimes he wants to, like, bet. He's like, hey, Dad. He's never beat me. But he's like, hey, if I win, I get $20 video game money. You know? And most of the time, I'm like, get the heck out of here with that. You know, there's no way. Like, that's not a good precedent here. But finally, yesterday, he knew I hurt my knee recently. And so my son's like, hey, Dad, what's up with that race here? You know? And I should have just told him, no, I'm going to wait until I heal. But I raced him anyway. And I won. I'm just going to put it out there. I won. But now my hip hurts. Like right under my glutes on my right leg hurts. Like it feels like my hip. If I put weight on it, it hurts. Luckily, it's not my knee. You know. What should I do, chat? Y'all are like an encyclopedia over here. What should I do? Let me know. I guess he played that correct. You know, he's like, oh, my dad's hurt. Now's my time to shine. It's my time right now. Again, Paramount Skydance revised offer for Warner Bros. Discovery will likely come in at about $32 a share, according to Variety. He still didn't win. I'm just going to put it out there. You know, he still didn't win. But he's 12, so I mean. Hawkish. Yeah, again, look at that Fed rate cut odds here. Fed rate cut odds. Still at 4.1%. So we're already down to 4.1% in terms of will we cut rates in March next month. Again, only a 4% likelihood. And again, I don't think we're cutting rates as well. I think this next meeting, though, we do get a dot plot update. And so we might get some volatility from this decision just because we get a dot plot update. Rate hike odds, there currently no likelihood of a rate hike, and I don't think we're gonna raise rates either. I don't think that makes any sense as well. I think the market would freak out if we raised rates randomly next month, especially when the odds of it are literally zero right now, according to the CME Watch tool. Now, these odds could always change depending on what kind of economic reports we get. If we get a high inflation report at the end of this week, and maybe like if Nvidia has worse earnings, high inflation report, fears are reignited. Next week we have jobs. If jobs come in super hot and inflation is high, those are all things that might push up the odds of a rate hike. But I still don't think we're getting one next month. I just don't think that makes much sense right now in the current things. I think, you could agree we're pretty close to neutral in a lot of people's minds. And so the last thing we should do is raise rates, freak the market out. Not unless we get high inflation and high jobs numbers, like strong jobs and high inflation. Stop racing your son? Well, my son and I have been racing since he was little. I told him one day he's going to beat me. But he needs to do it naturally, not when I'm hurt. And so maybe I shouldn't have raced him in the first place. We're gonna hit historical highs. Yeah, no, I told my son he'll probably be winning within a few years for sure. He does cross country as well, but I did cross country too when I was young. So I mean. Again, I'm not going to let him win. That's just not what I do here. Got to figure it out himself. One day he'll beat me. Not today, though. Even with my hurt hip. Again, gold at 5180s. 5180s. You don't want to see him cut 50 basis points? I mean, I think small 25 basis point cuts progressive, I don't think that's going to do the worst to inflation. I don't think that's going to spike inflation in any drastic amount. I do not want them to start printing again with quantitative easing. I don't want them to do that. And I think with Warsh it's pretty unlikely. I think with Powell it's unlikely as well. Soon. But it's an inevitability. Eventually we're going to start printing. I just think we should wait as long as we can. And I don't think they will. I think with the current risks of both sides of the dual mandate, where inflation's risky right now, the labor market has shown signs. The labor market has shown signs of weakness over the last couple months, especially with all the different reports we've seen. We've seen JOLTS week. We've seen ADP data week. We've seen even the official labor data at 130,000 being much higher than expected. It's still not really hot, and a lot of worries about those getting revised back down eventually anyway. So we'll have to see. I don't think they're going to raise rates anytime soon, but I also don't think they're going to cut 50 anytime soon either. I think they're going to pause most likely next month. I think we'll probably do small basis point, 25 basis point cuts. July, I think right now is what the current expectation is for July. So here's June, July right here. So again, in July is when we see a big jump. July, you got 46% likelihood. So we got 66% likelihood if you add these together. So about 68% likelihood of some cut by July. So right now a 25 basis point cut by July seems the most probable outcome here. Yeah, again, Paramount Skydance revised offer for Warner Bros. Will likely come in at $32 a share, according to Variety. Again, new U.S. tariffs could cost UK exporters around $3 billion. So the new 15% tariffs introduced by the president could hit UK exporters by $2 to $3 billion, according to the British Chamber of Commerce. Trade Policy Chief William Bain said the measures add roughly 5% extra tariffs on many British goods. The tariffs were placed earlier when struck down by the Supreme Court. Temporary nature of the tariffs offer some relief. Businesses are urged to work with U.S. partners to reduce their impact and protect competitiveness. And again, we had some studies from the Central Reserve Bank of New York and the Kiel Institute show tariffs in 25 largely hit U.S. firms and consumers, but Berenberg thinks that the president may soften the tariffs ahead of the November elections here. We'll see if that happens as well. Yeah, let's take a look at Bitcoin here. I don't think I've looked at Bitcoin yet. Yeah, here's Bitcoin right here. Bitcoin at 66,000. At least it's holding. It's not really dropping down too much. This is basically where it was on Friday when I looked at Bitcoin. at 66,300s here. It's a little bit lower, I think, than it was. But at least it's stabilizing here. Look at these big drops, though, we got early this morning. So we're seeing this a lot with Bitcoin and crypto, where we just get these big drops early this morning. T.I. versus 50, who you got? Did y'all hear T.I.'s new song? As somebody that grew up and was like young in the early 2000s, I like it. I can't even lie, I like it. I showed it to my daughter. My daughter's like, I'm not a fan. And that hurt a little bit, I think, you know? But yeah. Was silver or steel at $65? At these current prices, probably. Again, gold and silver elevated today on uncertainty. Silver's at 86 right now, so yeah. What is TI? Is that a Jeopardy answer? Yeah, I don't even know this music that I have coming out here. This is all just kind of like old music they have. Metal's good, Bitcoin bad. You get silver at 87s. Again, I'm watching this 25K level in the Nasdaq. Look at 25K right here. 25,000. You know, 25,000 right there. You look at how much market's respected. I think if we start to get close to that, I'll probably long today, just to show you guys my plan of the day. Like if we start to creep up here and get close, I'm going to attack this range up to 25K. I love targeting this type of range where the closer we get to it, the more pull this might have and the more likely we are to test it, if that makes sense. And so that is what I'm going to be looking at today. And so I'm going to have a slight bullish bias on the day here. But again, the Nasdaq opened up red yesterday on Sunday for futures. The S&P is not doing much better here today. It's down to 685s on the SPY. The actual S&P futures are down to 6890s, 6880s. You know, I'm watching 7,000 on the S&P as well. And again, most of the Mag 7s are down this week. And again, we do have Nvidia earnings Wednesday. Nvidia earnings Wednesday. So okay, so I see this post and I don't know whether to take this seriously. I guess I should. But the post says, quote, this is by Wired. Okay, this is by Wired. The source is Wired. All right. And the post says, quote, humanoid robot armies are expected to reach 13 million units by 2035, according to Wired. Did they need to use the word armies, though? Couldn't they just say inventory here? Couldn't they say humanoid robot inventories are set to reach X amount by X date? Wouldn't that make more sense? They threw the armies in there. I immediately think Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Humanoid robot armies are expected to reach 13 million units by 2035, according to Wired. Also seeing reports that 42% of recent college graduates are underemployed. Or unemployed, I think is what they meant. They ended up spelling some other weird word. The highest level since 2020, according to Forbes. Again, institutional investors' cash level rose to 3.4% in February, still the second lowest on record, signaling stretched risk positioning. Robot dogs? I don't know how I feel about robot dogs. You know, I watched Black Mirror. Anybody ever seen Black Mirror? I hear robot dogs. I'm a little fearful, you know. When is the tariff news? So again, the news over the weekend, again, I'll go over it again because we did have some tariff news. On Friday, the president signed an order for a 10% global tariff on essentially all imports with that 10% slated to begin on Tuesday at 12:01 a.m. On Saturday, he publicly said he would raise that new global tariff rate to 15% effective immediately. Again, effective immediately, and push it to the maximum allowed under Section 122. Now, Section 122 tariffs have a 150-day max timeline. So, unless you get congressional approval to extend them, which, again, the Senate has already come out basically saying they will not approve an extension of these tariffs past the 150-day window. And so that's kind of where we are. Back to 15% global tariffs, effective tomorrow morning at midnight, basically. And again, the big winner here in all of this is gold and silver. Gold and silver elevated. Nasdaq, S&P down. Gold and silver up today. Here's silver, or here's gold. Gold up to 51.80s. It's pushed it to the high of the last few weeks here for gold. Remember, the lifetime high on gold is 56.20s. 56.20s. We're at 51.80s, so we still got a ways to go, but we are past some of this short-term range on gold here, past 5100, which has been the resistance level since late January for gold. I'm also seeing news that the U.S. debt crisis is set to reach unprecedented levels, with the CBO projecting a cumulative federal budget deficit of $23 trillion between 2026 and 2035, up about $1.4 trillion from prior forecasts. And again, this is why a lot of people are expecting them to start printing sometime to try to get us out of that. No, Keegan, that's very possible that he basically just restarts him after the 150-day window. My HVAC friend said he never has to worry about his job from AI. I do think your HVAC friend is probably going to be a little bit more resilient versus other businesses that are just more obviously at risk. I think welders are probably a little bit safer. I think eventually one day we're going to have machines weld things now. We're going to have robots that do it. But I think we're still a little ways away from that. So they're safe short term. Waller is supposed to speak right now, is he? Let me see. I don't see any of his quotes yet. He's supposed to speak at 8 a.m. 4 minutes ago. But again, if he is speaking, again, MicroStrategy has announced they bought 592 Bitcoin for almost $40 million at 67,286 per coin as of the 22nd of February. Okay, so Waller, his speech was basically published. Again, so Waller's speech is already out there. Here is Waller's speech right here. That's Waller's speech. Again, I'm going to summarize this. Yeah, I'm going to summarize the Waller speech, but the Waller speech came out already, and it was a pre-written speech. The Waller says the Fed should look through tariff-driven inflation. He views underlying inflation, excluding tariff effects, as running close to 2%, near the FOMC's goal. He dissented in January in favor of another 25 basis point cut, arguing labor risks were high and inflation risks were limited, and he still sees policy as potentially needing more easing if job data stays weak. Regarding quarter 4 GDP, he said it grew at 1.4% annualized, but the underlying private demand, which is private domestic final purchases, rose 2.4%, and he expects real GDP to run above 2% over quarter 4 to quarter 1 once shutdown distortions are smoothed. The Supreme Court ruling overturning many 2025 tariffs could support spending and investments, but he is unsure about how big or persistent that boost will be, since the administration plans to reimpose tariffs under other laws. He said manufacturing outlook rose 0.6% in January. ISM-type surveys show broad gains in inventories, new orders, deliveries, production, and employment, and services PMI has expanded at 19 straight month pace, supported for near-term GDP. PCE growth slowed from 3.5% in quarter 3 to 2.4% in quarter 4, while still solid, but he worries strength is skewed in stock-rich, higher-income households, while lower and middle-income consumers are trading down and may cut discretionary spending. He said headline payrolls for January jobs surprised to the upside, 130,000, 172,000 private numbers. Unemployment was down, but gains were heavily concentrated in healthcare and construction. He notes big risks of downside revisions based on ADP and Revelio and layoff data. So yeah, he thinks revisions might be coming. Core CPI up 2.5% year over year, but he does estimate that PC inflation is around 2.8% and core PCE is near 3% above target. But he argues that tariffs are a temporary driver, so underlying inflation is near 2%, he says. He said if February data confirms stronger jobs and continued disinflation, he could support holding rates at current levels for March. But if January's labor strength is revised away or February weakens again, he would favor a 25 basis point cut at the March FOMC. So that is what Waller just said in his speech. And again, let me know if you guys agree with him. We are seeing gold pull back a little bit here at 5170s. Nasdaq's kind of unchanged here. It's not really moving much. Nvidia's green. I bumped the new TI. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the early 2000s. You know, mid 2000s. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Sublimed? Hey, it's all good, my friend. YouTubers without their knowledge read us fake news. I mean, we're just covering market news, brother. Again, I'm just covering market news. That's my job. That's what people watch me for, is to cover this news. So, I mean, I'm gonna do it. You can agree with the news, disagree, say the news is fake, say it's not real. I mean, whatever. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Cover the news, sir. Again, MicroStrategy bought 592 Bitcoin for an average purchase price of $67,286 between February 17th and February 22nd. Novo had some news this morning. I have to figure out what it was. Let me see if I can track it. But Novo did have some news this morning. What was it? Oh, it's somewhere here. I have to scroll up here. Let me find it. I think it was trial results. If I remember correctly. Let me see if I can find the Novo news here. Hold on. All right, so Novo's 2.4 did not meet primary endpoints of showing non-inferiority on weight loss versus another drug. So bad news for Novo. Here, look at Nvidia pop though. Yeah, so bad news for Novo. Again, bad trial results. Did not meet primary endpoints of their non-inferiority on weight loss drugs. Regarding one of their newer ones, I think. So Novo is down under 41. So look at Nvidia rip up though. Nvidia's pushing up here. Yeah, so chips. All right, so the U.S. president renewed his criticism of Taiwan's chip industry after the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that his import tariffs violated International Emergency Economic Powers Act, invalidating the tariffs. On Saturday press conference, he said it regarding Taiwan. He said Taiwan came into the chip sector. They stole our businesses. Argued Taiwan has pushed aside former U.S. chip leaders, including Intel. Yeah, but that news came out over the weekend. That's not popping Nvidia up. I don't know why Nvidia is going up here. I don't see any breaking news around it. Did you see Waller's quotes? Picked up a few Novo shares. It is a little lower here. I wonder if HIMS is going up on this news. I don't really see it moving much now, but Novo down. What's the news today? I mean, the news is now we got 15% global tariffs under Section 122. That'll expire after 150 days is the news that we're seeing right now. And how this affects markets, I'm not sure. Starting to feel like March and early April are going to be froggy market times. Hoping my April Mag 7 puts follow through. We'll see, brother. We'll see, man. Trump should say he'll give a refund of tariff revenue. Companies lower their prices to consumers. Yeah, that's, you know. I guess I understand that. If they raise prices because of it. Sure. I think the easiest way to do that, and again, even the Supreme Court document acknowledged it might be a mess. I think the easiest way to do it would be to look at how much companies raised prices after the tariffs were announced, and then use that to gauge whether they should get substantial refunds or not. I think that makes sense, you know, considering a lot of these companies are going to be raising prices to compensate for the tariffs, and if they did so, they got more revenue from it. You know, but we'll see. Again, we'll see. And here's the Nasdaq. Yeah, Nasdaq just rejected the 200 EMA a little bit here. Let's see if it holds. It is starting to find its way back up. And again, the higher we get close to 25,000, the more likely I am to buy it. Again, KeyBank says Nvidia is strong on B300 and GB300 in China. KeyBank's John Vin reaffirmed an overweight rating on Nvidia 275 price target. He expects strong results driven by rising B300 and GB300 shipments and H200 sales to China, projecting F4Q revenue of $69 billion and F1Q guidance of $74 to $75 billion. Supply constraints and GDDR memory shortages may limit gaming growth, but overall outlook remains positive. Also, Goldman says tariff inflation impact is fading after the Supreme Court struck down the IEEPA tariffs. Goldman economists see minimum future tariff-driven inflation. Tariffs have been added roughly 0.7 percentage points to core PCE inflation since April. The pass-throughs are slowing. Goldman projects about 0.1% additional point will hit core prices, calling further effects on consumer prices minor. Yeah, here's the 200 exponential on the Nasdaq. Again, gold and silver worth watching today, I think. Gold's starting to dip down under that 200 EMA as well, though. So the consumers are entitled to refunds. I mean, I don't know. I think it's nuanced. I think anytime you raise prices, you are generally going to see less sales. And so if the company saw less sales in response to the raised prices, you know, you know, you could argue both sides, I think. You see Bitcoin going today. Where's Bitcoin? I don't know, man. Bitcoin, you know, it was back up to almost 68s, then got hit this morning. You know, most of the time when Bitcoin drops like this, it's happening early in pre-market. But honestly, if you look at it, this is probably just responding to openings. If you look at the SPY, you see a very similar thing here. Nasdaq, if you zoom out, get big drops early this morning. This went up some. SPY actually. Hold on, let me get the S&P. S&P dropped. But with Bitcoin, you're seeing some of these big pullbacks, liquidations happening at like 2 a.m., 3 in the morning. Again, Waller did just get done speaking. It was a pre-written speech. And again, in the speech, he basically said this. He basically said that if we see continued weakness, he'd support a 25 basis point cut in March. If we continue to see data that shows weakness in labor, he'd support a 25 basis point cut. If we see data that shows high inflation and strength in labor, then he's supportive of a pause next month in March. Thinks the tariff effect is passing through quickly. The big corporations receive shares. Again, we don't have any economic data today specifically here. But again, KeyBank did raise, and they reaffirmed an overweight rating on Nvidia and a 275 price target. Nvidia earnings are on Wednesday. We have 15% global tariffs now under Section 122 after the Supreme Court rejected the president's tariffs that he did through the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. Looking at our poll numbers, we did a poll this morning. 52% say no in regards to will the tariff reversal news make markets rise this morning. 53% say no. And we might day trade some today. Yeah, so we might day trade some stocks. Here's trade evade. Kind of just flat. I don't know what to do here. I kind of have to wait. Again, the closer we get up, this is what, gold? Here, let me move back to the Nasdaq. Okay, here's the Nasdaq. Closer we get to 25,000 up here. Right here is 25K. That's a level I'm definitely watching. I think we'll be pretty red today. Only question is how much red. Don't know how much lower software can go. Again, red or green today, guys. Red or green. See. See what we get. I wouldn't mind buying the Nasdaq right here, to be honest, or the S&P right here. Let me think about it. I might buy a little bit here and try to let a longer term trade go on. Let me get maybe a micro position here, actually. I think like 5. We just took 5 micros here. See if we get a bounce back up. I don't trade the S&P a ton, but I think right around the VWAP here. We'll give it a second. I love you. Businesses get to double dip, increase their prices to cover tariffs, and now want the money back. I mean, I guess. No trades till I get good internet. I'm gonna use your TPT code. To be honest, I like Quant Tower more. Regarding which one I like more, I like Quant Tower a little bit more. Quant Tower eats more resources though, so it's hard for me to trade on it while I'm streaming, if that makes sense. So I like Quant Tower more. And again, if you want to check out Take Profit Trader, use promo code BG. Beginner Trading, BG. You can use BG for Apex and Take Profit, to be honest, as well, if you want to check them out. I'll put them up in the description. I'll put them up here as well. But again, I think Apex still has 90% off up until tomorrow. Take Profit has 40% off, no activation fee. And again, if you want to learn to day trade, don't fund your own account thousands of dollars. It makes absolutely no sense to. Instead, try, Take Profit or Apex. They give you a demo. They test your skill with it. The challenge is less than $100 generally. If you pass the test, they fund you the same amount as the demo. If you fail it, you only lose what you pay for it. So it's the best of both worlds. It's limited risk. You're still learning to trade with risking something, but you're not funding your own account 5, 10, 20, 30 grand to do so. It just doesn't make sense. But again, they are an affiliate of mine. I am biased because I get paid by them. Again, not an investment professional. You can check out the link for Take Profit right here. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. Great way to help support the channel. Again, use promo code BG. Actually, let me undo this. And, all right, so we're actually pretty green on this trade. It's a very small trade so far. I want to give it some more time. There you go. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. So we are green here. I'll take a little bit off. We'll take about micro contracts off just to lock in profit. See if we can build up a little bit more. I do like, oh, y'all can't see it. The disclaimer's in the way. My bad. Here, look. Here's the trade right now. Got a little move up here. I might take one more off. And then we'll let the rest ride. Yeah, again, we haven't really had any breaking news since Waller came out speaking here, so. Citi's is bullish on stocks amid strong quarter four. So Citi is maintaining a positive outlook for this year, citing strong quarter four earnings, accelerating large cap sales, and stable S&P 500 earnings estimates. Scott Cronert projects 2026 index earnings of $320, boosted by soft landing conditions and AI spending. He thinks small and mid caps are facing margin challenges and tariff uncertainty. Again, Goldman also said that tariff impact is fading. Supreme Court struck down the tariffs. Goldman sees minimal future tariff-driven inflation. No refunds. Companies raised prices and consumers agreed to buy it. Yeah, I'm in this trade right now. It's pretty small. Novo crashed on bad trial results. It didn't meet primary endpoint. It didn't meet primary endpoints in its trial. All right, so we're still in this trade. I'll probably cover the rest break even here. We made a little bit already, but it's small. I want it more. And we're starting to reverse back down here. I'll give it a second to bounce, but kind of continuing in the choppy trend. Gonna be sideways today. It's possible we're sideways for sure. Maybe until the opening bell here. We still have, 30 minutes, or we still got an hour before the open, but looks like we're bouncing right at my entry though. That's nice. Again, I'm trying to give this one time. Like, I'd like to see this rise back up towards 7,000 as the Nasdaq rises back up. But no, that's a little bit better. It's a small trade right now, though. We'll give it some time. Look at gold break down here. Gold just fell under the 200 exponential in the volume weighted average price. Dip last night. Yeah, honestly, we did bounce right here at where we got in just now. It's not the worst looking thing ever. Again, Bitcoin's still at 66,000 here. Yeah, Bitcoin's still at 66K. Not a lot of reports this week. We have PPI inflation data. We have Nvidia earnings. Is what we do have. So we do have some stuff. And we're starting to rise here. We did bounce exactly where I entered. I'll take one off just to lock it in. We're probably up about $100. Give this last little contract a little bit of time to run here. Get up, sir. Honestly, I saw somebody online, and I might steal their idea, that set their morning alarm to egg yelling, "Get up, sir." Sir Duncan, I might actually do that. Although it might be a stressful morning, You know, I like to have kind of a peaceful alarm in the morning. I don't know if that's going to be necessarily peaceful. Salesforce and Nvidia earnings this week. Yeah. Still in this little trade, guys. I'm still in this little trade. Again, we've already taken 4 out of 5 contracts off of this. So, give this in use. Try to be patient with this. But and I'm looking at more breaking news here, but I don't see anything really coming out. A little bit of a lighter news week, I think, here. Again, yields are pretty much flat. They're basically where they were last week. I guess I'm just going to leave this here. I would think the bullish aspect in that ruling caps Trump's threat level of countries no more random 150 tariffs. Yeah, oil is elevated today on more tensions. Here's oil, up to $66 a barrel. So Melda, I think you're a little bit late on the stream, but she said it's your hamstrings, foam roll the glutes, front hip flexors, nerve cluster behind the knee, calf, even the feet can help, depends where the injury is coming from. The injury is coming from, like, it almost feels like my hip bone, but it like, it's hard to explain. It's like right under my right glute. And it hurts to do like a squat position, is what hurts. Bro, honestly, dude, like, I bought this super big monitor and it keeps glitching out. I don't even know what to do with it. Return it. You know, it's funny, when I originally bought this monitor, I bought it from Best Buy. I plugged it in, I got it set up, it took like an hour. 49-inch ultra wide monitor. And when I plugged it in and turned it on, it was broken. The screen was broken. And so I went back to Best Buy and they checked like my purchase history and they were like, okay, this dude's legit. And they gave me another one. Problem, maybe I need a new computer. Really, with it. Might be time for me to buy a new computer. Alright, guys. Again, I'm still in this trade, but the market has not gone anywhere since I got it. And here's the E-mini. Here's the Nasdaq. The market is done this since I bought it. I'm still green. I've taken 4 out of 5 micros off here. Yeah, it's a cool monitor when it's not glitching out. And to be fair, it doesn't glitch out very much. Hold on, let me check my reports. Yeah, again, here's oil, gold. What are you guys trading today? Gold's bouncing back up here. I don't know what the support level I had on the chart. I think I drew this earlier. But gold started to move back up. Again, Fed Governor Waller says there are reasons, including AI, to think that hiring may remain weak. It is difficult to interpret recent jobless claims data. All right, this is something that Waller just said. The Nasdaq. Okay, so the question is, did you guys see it just now when it did that? I better exit out of some stuff, dude. Exit out of it. Did you guys just see it glitch out? Because the top screen remains fine. So it has to do with this bottom ultra-wide monitor. Also, we just had the U.S. Chicago National Fed Activity Index. It should have been 18. Previously, it was negative 2.1. Actually, I'm getting two different readings here. Okay, so for December, it should have been negative 0.21. For January, it should have been 0.18 positive here. So again, these are the two readings that we just got, and again, the market didn't really react super favorably to this. Those are the two readings we just got. No? What does it do whenever it glitches out? See if the SPY continues to fill the gap. Hard not to notice. The whole room goes dark. Okay, so it is you guys. You guys can see it. Okay, that's not good. Let me exit out of some stuff. All right, Waller says the growth of productivity in the past year or so is not from AI. Again, the growth of productivity in the past year is not from AI, according to him. I'll put this data on screen here. Again, Fed's Waller says the growth of productivity in the past year or so is not from AI. Wait, did I exit out of Tradeovate to trade? Not good. Again, Waller says changes in work arrangements post 2020 may be adding to productivity, among other things. I'm still in this trade on Tradeovate, aren't I? Yes, I am. Okay, I'm gonna just sell this position here for a second. So I made money on that trade. Now that's my boss. AI has made me so much more productive. Update graphic drivers. Yeah, that's probably true. Again, data's a little quiet this week. I mean, we have some stuff. Like tomorrow we have the ADP data weekly report that we get at 8:15 market time. So we do have that coming out at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. We got a bunch of Fed speakers. We got Waller speaking today. We got Goolsby speaking tomorrow. We got the Case-Shiller House Price Index tomorrow. Bostic speaking tomorrow. Waller speaking again tomorrow at 9:15. Lisa Cook speaking at 9:30 in the morning tomorrow. Wednesday we have Nvidia earnings. Thursday we have jobless claims. Friday we have PPI inflation data this week. And then next week we got the labor report. We got the monthly ADP report. We have ISM services and manufacturing data next week and more. So we got some stuff going on. Yeah, I'll have to look at my PC updates later. We'll see. Yeah, Nvidia earnings are the Super Bowl of the week for sure. Nvidia earnings are the biggest earnings report that we get. Look at the Nasdaq breakdown here, though. So again, the Nasdaq is breaking down some, but it's not a huge drop. Volume weighted average price is down there, and honestly, this is in a period where markets have been flat. Could be the cable. Yeah, I'm afraid AI is gonna make us all dumb. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I'll check them after this. I appreciate the help. I want to take 5 times the leverage shorts on Tesla. Yeah, this market sucks here, guys. Look at this. So. Yeah, I mean, AI is going to cause, obviously, an increase of productivity. Just because it's much easier to produce things now that we have AI systems in place. But it's easy, like, learning programming is much easier with AI. You know, I taught myself before we had AI, and it was noticeably more difficult and time-consuming to learn programming. And even if you look at other aspects of learning other things, AI makes it easier. You know, easier to learn new languages, easier to learn basically anything with AI. Waller's still speaking. He said, watching the vacancy rate, if that continues to fall, it would be unusual if the unemployment rate did not rise. Again, so the current population survey, which is the data the U.S. Labor Department uses to calculate the unemployment rate in others, such as underemployment and multiple job holders, it's down to 64%, which is the lowest on record. Since 2009, this percentage has fallen 30 points and is now even below 2020 levels. Fewer people than ever are responding to the survey that the Labor Department uses to publish economic data. As a result, labor market estimates are built on increasingly incomplete data and are far less reliable in the past, apparently. I mean, that makes sense with some of the revisions. It just did it again, man. Not like I'm bumping anything here, too. I don't know what that is. Weird. I'll time you out, Sam. Chill out. Power draw issue. That might be true, actually. All right, bro. No, I'm in Texas. We didn't get any snow, brother. Again, Nasdaq very flat and boring here. Well, I bought the monitor about a year ago, so I don't know if I can return it now. I would love to return it. If it was Walmart, I would return it. Again, Goldman forecasts Q1 GDP pickups, moderate 2026 growth. They expect Q1 GDP to rise 3.4% annualized, driven largely by the return of federal activity from Q4 shutdown. Excluding this boost, underlying growth is about 2.1%, but Goldman projects the economy will expand 2.6% by Q4 of this year, supported by easing tariff uncertainty and tax reform tailwinds. Waller's still speaking as well. He said, would be inefficient to move to a scarce reserves regime. Scarce bank reserves regime was inefficient and quote-unquote stupid. Return the AMC pizza? Honestly, I should. I'm still mad about that pizza. Why Novo Nordisk is down. Novo had bad trial results for one of their up-and-coming weight loss drugs they were trying, so they didn't meet their primary they did not meet their primary endpoints on the trial, and so bad trial results caused Novo to dip pretty heavily here. Again, here's Novo. Again, just bad trial results, didn't meet primary endpoints. Well, no. So when this happens, guys, so when the glitch happens, it's not the top monitor. It's only the bottom monitor, which basically means it's either it's a power issue, it's a graphics card issue, maybe, but it could be a wire issue. Yeah, also, I'm going to put it in sub-only mode. So everybody announce that you're subscribed. We appreciate it. Sub-only mode. Actually, you know what? We'll leave it off sub-only mode for today. Waller said if productivity is rising, the neutral rate is likely rising as well. SPY starting to bounce back. So is the Nasdaq. Nasdaq back up. Maybe I should have held that position. I'm long micro Nasdaq. Oh my gosh, dude. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Amazon looks like it's creeping. I'm in Amazon right now. I bought Amazon last week. I'm still green on it. I think it was last week. It might have been the week before. I'm long one micro Nasdaq, looking pretty ready for Oracle rebound. I think I'm still in Oracle as well here. Yeah, I'm still in Oracle. I'm in at 166 though. It's 146 right now, so percentage wise, it's not looking great. I could add to it, but I don't think I will. It's a small position. I already took the profit on the larger position that I was in, so I don't think I'm gonna add more to this. I think I'm just gonna wait. Swap that, so you get a new HDMI cable? Yeah, that's probably true. Hold on, I'm gonna do Control Alt Delete, and it might, yeah, do a black screen like this for a second. So memory's running at 41%, CPU's running at about 5%. The other stuff. GPU's running at about 11%. Okay, yeah, the GPU is only at 50 Celsius. So it doesn't look like my GPU is overheating or anything like that. Memory's at about 42%. Or not my memory. It doesn't look like my graphics is overheating. Yeah, I could probably need a new cable. All right, this is starting to get frustrating now. This is happening nonstop. Hold up, guys. Hold on. It really is rage baiting me right now. I'm starting to get frustrated. It's not going to happen again. I'm going to put it out there. It's going to work from now on. Ugh. Again, Fed's Waller says right now all of the data for the past year suggests labor demand is falling more than labor supply. Would be inefficient to move to a scarce reserves regime, and if productivity is rising, the neutral rate is likely rising as well. Waller says job market looks like it has a demand problem, not a supply problem. And would that indicate that AI is part of the reason we're seeing deterioration in labor? I think you could argue that. Seth Chofik, which I believe is the European, one of the European guys, said in touch with counterparts to get reassurances. Waller says safe asset supply and demand not changed much over the last 5 years. He said neutral rate is driven by supply and demand safe assets. Yeah, so Seth Chofik is the EU Trade Commissioner. Yeah, I'm gonna mess with all that stuff after the stream's over. There's no jobs. Again, OpenAI teams with consulting giant to expand enterprise AI, according to CNBC. So OpenAI has launched a multi-year frontier alliances with Accenture, Boston Consulting Group, Capgemini, and McKinsey to develop its AI platform, Frontier. This partnership aims to accelerate AI adoption by combining OpenAI's tech with consulting expertise, helping companies integrate AI agents into workflows faster. Frontier connects organizational systems and data, enabling easier AI management. That IPO is going to be interesting. Hiring for those who don't have a job right now is horrible. If OpenAI is around in a few years to see it through. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing to look at. Again, we'll see. Yeah, we're going to be day trading today, guys. Trading today. I'm using APEX and Take Profit. You can use my promo code BG, like beginner, BG, not Baby Gangster from New Orleans, but BG as my promo code. You can check it out. Again, if you want to check out APEX, they have a 90% sale off until tomorrow. So a 90% sale until tomorrow. Again, if you want to use Take Profit, the link's pinned to the top of the chat. But here's the APEX link right here. Check it out. Great way to help support the channel. Again, I'm biased. I get paid by them, so of course I'm biased. Some of these links are affiliate links. You think AI is in a bubble right now? I think it really depends. I think it depends on if we grow into it. So it depends on if we grow into. Oh my gosh, dude. My computer's pissing me off today, man. It depends on if we grow into AI. It really depends on if we grow into AI. Delete some of these videos I have. Should have plenty of room, but I'm gonna delete them anyway. Not really using. No bubble sugar, only for companies that uses it for no damn reason. Bitcoin is going to the moon today. What's Bitcoin at? 66K right now? 66 threes or fours? Why don't you buy a Mac? I probably should at this point. Strong. Yeah, Alphabet is green on today. Here's Google. Alphabet is green. Most of the other Mag 7s are red as well. Look at Amazon, red. Nvidia is green. So Google and Nvidia are among the Mag 7 that are green. Microsoft, red. Netflix, red. Amazon, red. Meta, red. So most Mag 7s are green except for Nvidia and Google. That's what we're seeing here. Again, looking at our poll, 52% of people say the market does not rise today. Again, Waller says, never seen economy growing like this without jobs. Never seen the economy growing like this without jobs. Would like to see more investment outside of data centers. And zero job growth does not seem like a stable employment environment. AI is drawing capital from other uses. Would like to see investment in other sectors. The bottleneck for AI is energy, an emerging issue in many parts of the country. Gosh, see, the problem is that it's only this monitor. The problem is that it's only this monitor that keeps doing it. Netflix in trouble. Yeah, I think Netflix will be all right, actually. Again, personally, I think the deal with Paramount's going to get approved, and I think Netflix is going to be okay. Gold is hovering below 5,200. Yeah, but it's up on the day, isn't it? Yeah, gold is elevated on the day after the tariff news. The gold's been having a pretty obvious push up. Yeah, let's see if Waller keeps speaking here and what that means. Yeah, again, tomorrow we have the ADP payroll report. It's the weekly report. It's not the big one. We have PPI inflation data, the delayed report on Friday. So we do have PPI inflation data, the delayed report for January on Friday. Construction spending as well on Friday. Chicago PMI on Friday. So we do have some stuff Friday. Again, jobless claims Thursday. Nvidia earnings Wednesday. CB consumer confidence and some more stuff tomorrow, but that's not really big. Yeah, Guy, I'll have to do that after the stream's over. I'm not going to experiment with it right now. I'll have to do it after the stream's over. Yeah, if we take a look at Polymarket here, there's still a 48% chance, according to Polymarket, that we see a strike on Iran by March 15th. Again, 96% chance that we pause rates. 94% current chance that Nvidia beats its quarterly earnings on Wednesday. And I guess the Abbott is kicking off an eight-parter link to Exact Sciences deal, according to Bloomberg. Yeah, I mean, I have this 49-inch ultra wide monitor that keeps flickering. I think it's called an Odyssey. Yeah, basically Google says frequently caused by firmware, DisplayPort, HDMI cable issues, or G-Sync VRR conflicts, particularly with Nvidia GPUs, which is what I have. I have an Nvidia GPU. Common fixes include updating firmware, disabling G-Sync, replacing cables with high-quality HDMI or VESA certified display ports. VESA certified display ports. Again, earlier this morning, just to give you guys really the breaking news that we got this morning, right? So we did get some breaking news, specifically that the president, after the Supreme Court on Friday reversed his IEEPA tariffs, announced that they are going to do 10% worldwide tariff on under Section 122. Now, these have a 150-day maximum time frame. Again, these have a 150-day maximum time frame, and so where we're really going to probably see tariffs get implemented is under, what is it, Section 301, I think is what it is. Let me see. Yeah, so Section 301 tariffs, extra duties that slap on countries when products they're found to be unfair trade practices that hurt the U.S. commerce. So again, it's looking like they're going to try to implement these under Section 301. But again, 150-day tariff max time for Section 122 tariffs. Again, after which any extension needs congressional approval, and the Senate and Schumer have already... The Senate and Schumer have already come out basically saying that they are not going to be approving any extension of the Section 122 tariffs. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying he doesn't need to extend. He just needs to cancel and restate. And that's probably true. Yeah, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. Alright, guys. So there's 9 a.m. 9 o'clock in the morning here. Nvidia's pushing up. It's over 190s this morning ahead of earnings this week. Over 190s ahead of earnings this week. Y'all investing in AI? I'm investing in Skynet. Yeah, again, we had news already that, what do we have earlier? It was something about robotics. I didn't like the news report. It said, it was before Waller started speaking. I have to figure out who said it. Let me find it. This was noticeably earlier this morning, though. Hold on. Yeah, Waller's been speaking for a while. Yeah, so according to Wired, humanoid robot armies are expected to reach 13 million units by 2035. Speaking of Skynet, I don't know why they called them armies. This is what I think they're just trying to get views, is what this is. I think they're just trying to get attention, and so they're calling them armies because they know people like me are going to immediately think Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Instead of calling them inventory, like humanoid robot inventory is expected to reach 13 million units by 2035. I think that's a more reasonable way to say it. But I also can't get too upset with them calling them armies. But yeah. 13 million units, they think, by 2035, according to Wired. Robot, yeah, maybe. All right, guys, opening bell's coming soon. We're going to day trade live today. Again, ASML says power improvement could boost wafers per hour for EUV machines by 50%. Again, ASML can reportedly boost power of EUV light source for lithography machines from 600 watts to 1,000 watts. Oh yeah, they definitely used that word intentionally. They could have said inventory. They could have said a lot of different things. They decided to use the word armies. 100% intentional. Again, Nvidia's still up here. I'm looking at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq's flat, but slight upward trend, holding at the volume weighted average price. It is close to 25,000. So again, personally, I'm gonna have a slightly bullish bias this morning. Slightly bullish. Eli Lilly, FDA approved label expansion for Zepbound to include 4-dose single patient use. Yeah, Eli Lilly's gapping up some as well. MU at 422s. Again, Nvidia strong. S&P over 6,900s. Nasdaq getting close to 25,000. Again, 25K is right here. Big psychological level. We couldn't really get over it earlier this morning, though, for 25Ks. But the closer we get, the more likely I am to buy and look for long setups heading into the opening bell. So if we get close to this, if we get over like 960s, 970s, I'll probably take some longs up to 25,000, just depending on how the movement goes. But that's the plan so far for the opening bell today. My son starts jiu-jitsu today. Hey, that's great. That's great. Jiu-jitsu is a great sport for him. We want hoverboards. I agree. Give me a Back to the Future hoverboard. I'll buy it right now. Yeah, it's hard to figure out what's AI, though, nowadays with video content. I mean, you can still kind of tell, but they're getting very close. They're getting very close. And this is how I know AI is going to grow, is just because if you look at what we saw for AI videos 3-4 years ago with Will Smith eating spaghetti, now they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Bitcoin flagging. Yeah. All right, guys, we got 25 minutes left until the opening bell. We don't really have any data today. Market's a little slow. Yeah, not a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I trade live, yes. But again, I'm just kind of waiting for the opening bell right now. The Nasdaq's not really giving us anything, and like I could take a bunch of trades just to keep the chat entertained, you know. But right now, pretty flat. Like we have a slight upward trend in the Nasdaq over the past hour or so, but the range is so small. I'm probably just gonna wait for the opening bell. I might trade some stocks at the opening bell as well, but. My only regret is I didn't buy more. Yeah, I mean, again, that really is some of the marketing that you see for penny stocks nowadays. You know, like you get a lot of people that like try to pump up penny stocks, but the reality of it is most of them are just crap. They're gonna get delisted and go out of business pretty soon. For a lot of these penny stocks that people trade, but people are stuck in them. So what you hear from everybody that's mostly stuck in them is, oh, this is the greatest stock of all time. You know, this thing's gonna go up substantially. You know, but most of the time they're just terrible companies. Realistic, like in reality, they're just not good companies. That's why they're pink sheets. Again, I've said this a bunch of times before, but people have this misconception regarding penny stocks. People have, I'm sorry guys, I don't know why my monitor keeps doing this. But people have this misconception that all good companies start off as penny stocks and then somehow go from penny stocks like a growth cycle into mid caps, into large caps. And that's just not what happens at all. Most of the time, healthy companies immediately IPO $10, $20, $30, $40 a share. And they don't look back. It's actually much more rare for a company to start in the pink sheets and then grab it and then grow into something large. That's much more rare. Much more rare. Nasdaq still pushing up a little bit here, though, guys. Again, Nvidia is pushing up at 191s here. A lot of people are waiting to see if Nvidia breaks $200 a share. The president did post regarding Mexico on his social media. He basically said they need to step up their effort to help some of the things going on. Again, Trump is planning job ratings overhaul for senior level workers. U.S. is ordering non-emergency U.S. government personnel, eligible family members from U.S. embassy to leave, I guess. Troubles in the Middle East. I'm sure oil's doing okay here. Yeah, oil's pushing up to almost $67 a barrel this morning on more instability overseas in the Middle East. So we'll see what happens here. And again, my apologies for my screen freezing today. I'll get it fixed after the show today. Again, ASML is unveiling advanced that may yield 50% more chips by 2030. NQ's looking bullish. I'm bullish in the Nasdaq probably, but it's never for sure. Like people make different bets and they act like it's a certainty. I don't think anything's certain on the Nasdaq today. I think we could go either way here. And so I think time will tell what the opening bell brings. And again, let's do a poll here today. I'm gonna do a poll right now. Are you bullish or bearish for the opening bell? Again, bull or bear? Let me know on the poll. We just did the poll. The poll is now live. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell? Well, silver and gold, if we continue to get weakness and fear, silver and gold might continue to benefit from it. The tariff news causing more instability and uncertainty, as well as oil and Middle East stuff, causing gold and silver to both be up today. Yeah, I'm not saying you said it looks certain, IQ. Again, I'm just saying nobody freaking knows. I think we can obviously go the other way. I'm bullish as well. The reason I'm saying that is because I said I was bullish, right? And if I'm bullish, I don't want people to say, "Oh, we have to go up." I think, just because I'm bullish right now does not mean the market has to go up. I think we can certainly go down. And I think the opening bell has a lot of variance in terms of what happens. And so just be careful today. I think the tariff news kind of throws some uncertainty in the mix. And so just being careful and waiting and seeing what we do is probably the best move. I like silver long term. Short term, I have no idea what it's going to do, but I like silver long term. Same thing with gold. I like gold long term as well. Both of those assets are elevated short term though, and so there's obviously risks, regardless of whether you're a bull or bear. I think it's pretty obvious there's some risks in those markets just based off of how much they pushed up. Again, it doesn't mean they have to go down. They can keep going up. But long term, I'm bullish in silver and gold. You know, just looking at long-term history of it. Tariff should give more certainty, max 15% over 150 days. There's no 50% crap anymore. That might be true, Ed. We'll see. Still early. All right, so a senior state official said that U.S. Secretary of State Rubio is still planning to travel to Israel, but schedule is subject to change, according to a senior State Department official. Everything we buy is up by 15%. Yeah, again, a lot of that is due to the historical inflation we got over the last 5 or 6 years. I've gone over this many times. I mean, I'm not saying prices are not rising now, but again, a lot of the people still aren't used to the prices we've seen that have increased so much over the past 5-6 years. Those increases are what people are still using to look at inflation with. But if you look at the current inflation rate, under 3% is decent. It's not terrible. It's not great either. It's somewhere in the middle, but it's not the worst it's ever been. Again, the problem is that in 2022, inflation went up to 10% basically. Prices don't really go down, they slow down. So even if the rate at which prices increase slows with this inflation, it doesn't mean that we're actually getting lower prices. And so we're stuck with those high prices for now. And again, people aren't used to them. All right, guys, look at the Nasdaq pop here. So we are going to start trading some here. Let's try. Again, look at the Nasdaq pop here. I don't know if news is coming out or what, but look at the Nasdaq go. Should have held. 15 minutes here, guys. 15 minutes. Apple is reportedly entering test production for the iPhone 18, according to Electric. It originally went up slightly, but I don't think that's what's causing this. Could just be ahead of the opening bell. Again, Nvidia is up to almost 191s. Look at the Nasdaq. No, this is the S&P, I'm sorry. Nasdaq is up here. Gold is popping. Gold up to 51.7s. All right, we're dipping down into that support level. I can try to buy this. All right, we'll buy it down here. We'll take 3 contracts. We already have a pretty green day, or I mean 5 micros. Scale into this though, and then leave it right here. Try to give it some time. Big enough pullback to where I think, you know, we might have some edge here, but we have a cushion on the day. I mean, that looks good. Give it a second, though. Are we still in that market goes down before Nvidia earnings? I don't know. Yep, sorry guys. Screen glitches. We'll have to figure it out after the stream. 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, guys. We appreciate it. Alright, so we're going to take some of this off here just because we can. The Nasdaq is ripping up. Got it exactly at the right level here. Very small trade, but so far so good. We'll hold the rest, break even now. Yeah, I'll have to go get it. I have like one of those fancy gold HDMI cables. I'll have to get one. Got any rage quitting games? No, not really. I'm not playing. I'm not a big PC gamer. I play on Xbox. Alright, I'm gonna cut this right here and just get out flat on the rest. Okay, we got a cushion heading into the day. Maybe I could have held this, but I don't want to let a green trade go red. Again, 12 minutes, guys. 12 minutes. Actually, I just jumped back in a trade with 4 micros here. Let's see if we can add a little bit of this into the opening bell. We can add. We're taking 6, maybe 8 contracts here. Bounce at the bottom of this low. The range is so small in the day. I mean, I have 8 contracts and we're really not moving too much here. Just want to see if we retrace back up, but hoping this support holds right here is what I'm looking at. Just go long, trust me. Broke several controllers. Apology not accepted. My suggestion is to get rid of the giant monitor and ship it off. I can suggest a shipping address. Just ship it into the void. Also known as your house. You know. I get it. I get it. I see what you're doing. Yeah, this is like $1,000 monitor. It should work better than this for $1,000 here. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's my fault. What's a good new RPG? Ocarina of Time. The greatest new RPG of its time. Alright, so we're back to flat on the trade. We're actually kind of green now. Let's see if we hold up here. How much time we have into the open? We have 9 minutes into the opening bell. I'm not going to hold this trade through the open either. So we got 9 minutes for it to do its thing. Yeah, check out Apex and take profit. BG promo code BG beginner trading. BG is the promo. You can see the link pinned at the top of the pass if you want to check out Take Profit. If you want to check out Apex, again, I'll throw that link up as well here. Great way to help support the channel. No PDT in futures. Great way to learn. Most day traders lose money, so it makes no sense, especially if you're a new trader here. It makes no sense to fund your own account thousands of dollars. I lost like 4 or 5 grand in a couple weeks trying to day trade my own money. It just doesn't make sense to do it. Instead, try one of these. Again, they give you a demo, test your skill. You pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. If they fund you, you have an 80% split or better. And so check it out. Here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. I'm not with Top Step anymore. There's Apex right now. They have a 90% off sale until, I believe it's till, here, I'm going to have to cut some of this here. Or I'll probably just cut all of it. I believe it's until tomorrow morning. Sale ends on the 24th for Apex. So you get 90% off there until tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, most day traders lose money. You know, that's the reality of it. Most day traders lose. Everybody thinks they're going to be great. I thought I was going to be rich day trading guru within a year, and it just didn't turn out like that. But again, when it comes time to use the promo code, just remember this face right here. How could you not use my promo code with this face? You know? Wait, what happened? I posted it. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Remember that face. All right, guys, here we go. We have 6.5 minutes until the opening bell. John Bomb says Mexico is at peace, is calm. Again, we got news earlier this weekend that said President is going to be implementing 15% global tariffs. It was originally 10% he announced on Friday through Section 122, which have a 150-day max timeline. Then on Saturday, he raised them to 15%. So now 15% global tariffs. And markets are kind of digesting that today some. Yeah, Nasdaq slightly green. We're close to 25,000. But yeah, we have about 5 minutes until the open. 5 minutes. Nasdaq is popping back up a little bit here, but it's still in this tiny range. It's really riding the 200 exponential. If you look at the 200 EMA here, oh, that's a bad line right there. Here. So 200 exponential holding it up this morning. I kind of want to greedily buy this dip again. Yeah, top 3 greediest ever. I bought the dip. I'm going to take some of this off here. And we are catching this bounce here. I'm going to cut it right there. You know, just kind of scalp out of that move. Silver and gold are up. Here we go, guys. We have 4 minutes until the opening bell. Look at this pop on the Nasdaq here, though. Look at the green. Look at the green on the NQ. Okay, so we did have Iran's deputy foreign minister saying Iran chose diplomacy, but we are fully prepared to defend our sovereignty and people. Credible negotiations must respect the right of all states. End quote. Hey, thank you, Sublime. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, my friend. Hey, good luck, Chef. Thank you, brother. Again, 3 minutes left until the opening bell. Are you guys bullish or bearish right now? Let's see what we get. Again, Nasdaq has gotten a string of green candles over the last 5 minutes. See if it holds. Nah, no need to tip or domo here, Sublime. It's all good, brother. I don't know how to handle donations. I don't need donations. If y'all want to say something for the chat to see, y'all can use donos and stuff. That's great. Outside of that, I really don't need them, man. We had Bulldog come in here and give me a bunch of donations and say really nice things, and I don't know how to handle compliments. I really don't. So I appreciate Bulldog, but I don't know how to handle. All right, guys, 2 minutes left. Look at Google. A lot of this push is from Google here. Look at Nvidia pop as well. Must be the market on open. Again, Google and Nvidia ripping up at the opening bell here. Look at these moves. All right, guys, again, we're up to 191.40s here. Google up to 319s. On Nvidia, 191.40s, Google up 319s. This is pulling the Nasdaq higher here if you look at it. Again, 1 minute left. We got a little dip here. Again, we have less than a minute until the opening bell. I might day trade stocks too if we get some good stuff here. Again, software stocks still a little in trouble. Microsoft down, Netflix down, PayPal down, SoFi down. All right, here we go. Opening bell in about 25 seconds. Here, 25 seconds. Let's see what we get. All right, guys, here we go. Here's the opening bell. Good luck. Song's ending right at the open. And here we go. Here's the bell. All right, I'm watching Nvidia and Google here. I'm not going to day trade futures for at least 5 minutes. Nvidia pushing up to 192s here. 192.30s. Microsoft dumping at the opening bell. Yeah, Nasdaq over 25,000 here. I wanted to buy the dip on the Nasdaq up to 25K. We just kind of pushed up there a little too early. But over 25,000 now in the Nasdaq. Look at this rip here. Again, this is mostly driven by Nvidia. Look at Nvidia at 193.50s at the opening bell today. 193.50s for Nvidia. A lot of strength. A lot of strength. Yeah, a lot of strength at the open so far. All right, now we're dipping down a little bit ahead of the open. Nvidia's up there. Some other stuff is kind of turned the other way, though, here. You know? If we end up ripping up now. And Nasdaq has turned all the way and went red on the day. If we retrace back higher here and go flat for the day for a little while. I might try Quant Tower too. I have an account there I want to try to get funded on, but first move is a lie. It's still early here for sure. Let's see if we pop back up. Here goes my computer. My computer glitched it out for a little while. All right, so we are in a trade right now. It's a little bit early, but we took some big positions here. That's some. This strength here. I'm gonna go and cut that right there. You'll have to see it. Yeah, we will keep day trading this. Nvidia back up to the highs of the day here at 193.95s. A lot of stuff started to bounce back here too, which is good. Might take some more positions here if we pull back some. A larger pullback though. Again, this is on Take Profit Trader. Use promo code BG if you want to help support the channel. This is on Take Profit. You get 40% off. Use promo code BG. I will buy a small pullback here. Very small one. There we go. Take half of that off. Top of the range. We have 2 contracts left. I'm starting to retrace back down. I'm going to start selling some of this at break even. Oh. Yeah, we're out. Very small trade, but we made money on it. Might buy more. Yeah, the problem is, like, look at Alphabet. Down to 317s. Nvidia is right at the top of the range, though. Okay, gold and silver are pushing up here. Here's gold and silver. Gold. 193s here for gold. Wow. All right, so we just bought a little bit more here again. We bounce. Nice. Half of that off. Bought it right at 25,000 is what we wanted to buy. We have 2 left. We'll take another piece off there. Give this one a little bit more time. Get 25 minutes. I want to see if Nvidia drags us higher. I'm gonna cut it break even at right there. Hey, good morning, chat. Netflix is dumped. Tesla dipping. Yeah, a lot of stuff is pulling back here. Microsoft dipped a little bit and kind of rebounded back up, though. Netflix is down. We're in Netflix, but I think we took some off. Kind of a tight range here, so I'll probably slow down buying these dips and then just look for the range to break now. So, yeah, I'm looking for this range to break. Bottom of the range is about right here. 970s. Top of the range is obviously at the high of the day right up here. I'm looking at this range to break potentially here. And we might target some trades there. Yeah, here, I'll turn off the chart executions. Let me do that now. Again, look at gold. Nvidia dipping down a little bit now. Nvidia's right at the VWAP, though. I might buy some shares of this here. Back in the time. Where's time and force? Be able to buy it. Got the auto send. We're gonna buy this at the VWAP right here. I think 150 shares or so. Forgive me for the Christmas music in February, guys. Let me get out of this. Hold on. All right, look at gold rip. I'm gonna buy a little bit more. Take 200 right here. Scalp out a half, hold the rest. Look at gold. 5200s for gold. I will sell this flat if I need to, if it starts to break under the VWAP here. I'll let it test, but got a little support at the VWAP here. Nvidia's already up a lot. Look at silver or gold. This. Where's silver doing? Gold at 5200s. Silver at 87s here. Let's take a little bit more off on this bounce just in case it doesn't hold. Let this work here. Look at the Nasdaq, came right back down to the bottom of this range and still bouncing. All right, look at silver and gold push. I'm gonna buy this dip down here. Small contract though. We'll see if we can get a pop back up. We're down a little bit. I'll add some, see if we can raise some of this. But not enough to really take profit on it though. Here we go. What just happened on my chart? That was weird. Alright, we'll take half of this off. It's just a little baby trade, and we're in Nvidia still. So I will liquidate some of this here. Well, and get out this. And then this is starting to turn against me now, so I'm going to cut the rest. I think I still made money on that trade in futures. I got to turn off those alerts. I mean, me buying a push up, a pullback to the volume weighted average price right here is not really gambling, I would say. And me taking one micro contract in the Nasdaq attacking the range, I don't think that's really gambling either. But I mean, it's subjective. Again, Nasdaq's going up to 8730s here. Yeah. Again, I'm gonna have to get this glitch fixed as soon as it comes back. I don't know what the heck I need to do to fix it, but alright, so we are getting a breakdown here. I might actually short this breakdown now that we're getting it. Again, we're gonna start it small. Maybe add to it since we're in it already. Alright. Take some of this off, ride the momentum down. Look at that breakdown here. Let me make sure we didn't have any news that just came out. President just tweeted, any country that wants to play games with the ridiculous Supreme Court decision will be met with a much higher tariff. That news just came out. Nasdaq is falling down here. This drop. Or tariff uncertainty this morning, maybe at the open. Look at this breakdown here. Yeah, again, President came out just now. That any country that wants to play games with the Supreme Court decision, especially those that have ripped off the U.S. for years, even decades, will be met with much higher tariffs and worse than that which they recently agreed to. Buyer beware. Thank you for your attention, President. That news just tanked markets. And look at the Nasdaq fall here. Again, here's Nvidia. Again, gold and silver probably the big winners here, I think. Yeah, gold up to over $5,200 an ounce. Nasdaq breaking down here in this. Again, I also see news that Iran is reportedly planning attacks on U.S. targets. And Nasdaq is breaking down here. We're pretty green on the day all the way around here, but yeah, this glitch is starting to bother me now. Ooh. All right. Nasdaq under the 200 exponential on the VWAP here. I will All right, so European MP Lang says they have decided to postpone the vote on U.S. deal, which was set for Tuesday. Intend to vote eventually, but need clarity first to meet on Wednesday to look at developments in assets and situations. Nasdaq still falling down. Again, gold still up. Bears look like they're in control right now. Look at gold up to over 5,200s. Again, Nasdaq pull it back here. We're under 25,000 again. I'm curious to see if we can hold over that level here. So bear with me, chat. I'm curious to see if we hold. Again, Nasdaq is down. Yeah, I mean, this isn't an old tweet. This is something that, again, I'm going to short into this bounce here. Again, I'm shorting on Take Profit Trader. Use promo code BG if you want to help support the channel. I'll add a little bit to this if the breakdown continues here. We already have such a big cushion on the day. I think we're pretty safe to swing into this. If the breakdown continues here. We're up. Might add two more. We'll add two more up here, see if we retrace back down is what we're looking for. There we go. Starting to. Let's see if this is just a fake out candle. We'll cut it pretty soon if it's not. Yeah, we're gonna cut this. Alright, we're still up. What are we up today? We are up 650 on this account. But no, this isn't an old tweet. This is actually, I mean, this is regarding the Supreme Court decision from Friday. So he's basically saying anybody that again, he tweeted this 13 minutes ago. Is what caused this drop mostly. Could be that. Could be the Iran news as well. I still don't hate a short here though, but I want to get back some of these gains. All right, we'll try it again. Maybe I'm getting greedy here, but it looks like the breakdown is in. There we go. Okay, this worked. Get half off there. We'll take another piece off and just hold one. Breakdown continues back. Over the last few trades were probably flat, but we made the money back we lost in the last one here. Yeah, we had 4 or 5 contracts. We took most of them off already. We just got a little piece here. We'll probably cut the rest if it's up at all. We'll get out. So we definitely made money on that trade. We're up 723 on the day now. I don't think we're down on anything really. Yeah, I don't think we're red on the day in anything. Except for maybe stocks. I think we're red on stocks on the day for sure. Microsoft's starting to break down this morning too. Look at Microsoft. So I might add a little bit more in Microsoft down here, to be honest. But it's small, so do not copy me. Yeah, we just added a little bit more down here. Even on Microsoft, we're down less than $100 a day on this one though. Again, this is what I was talking about last week, which is that, you know, you could argue that the reversal of the tariffs is going to be bullish since the initial reaction we got from the tariffs was a bearish reaction from April, right? And that makes sense. The problem is that they're going to find ways to implement tariffs anyway, and this is something I said numerous times prior to the decision actually being announced. People would ask me, and this would be my response, is that they're going to find ways to implement the tariff anyway, and that might restart the volatility cycle of tariffs. So you guys remember, for a while earlier last year, the president would announce tariffs, markets go down. President announced more tariffs, markets go down. You know, the president would announce an extension of the deadline, markets go down. And so we're kind of seeing some of that volatility back this morning here from implementation of more tariffs. And so we'll see what happens, but let me know what you guys think we're going to get for the day here. Again, not an investment professional. Do not copy me. Not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Tomorrow we have the ADP jobs report at 8:15 market time. So we do have the ADP jobs report 8:15. Yeah, Nasdaq starting to bounce back here though. I don't know if I'm gonna mess with this. But yeah, we do have factory orders at 10. I'll stick around for that. Probably not going to move stuff, but we'll cover it nonetheless. Again, it's expected at 0.2%. Previous was 2.7% regarding factory orders. So again, we'll cover it, but again, we'll see what happens. I could also short into this resistance, but I think I'm already green on the day. I think I'm playing with fire if I do it. Like, look, here's this resistance. I think this is a good chance it might reject, but I'm just going to sit on my profit for the day here. And honestly, we kind of already rejected a little bit off of it here. We'll see what factory orders do to the market. Again, Apex is 90% off sale, though, ends tomorrow, guys. Again, President recently said, as president, I do not have to go back to Congress to get approved of tariffs. It has already been gotten in many forms a long time ago. They were also just reaffirmed by the ridiculous and poorly crafted Supreme Court decision. So the president is still tweeting here. But again, Apex 90% off sale ends tomorrow. And so if you want to check it out, again, here's the link for Apex right here. You could also get 40% off Take Profit Trader. But here's the Apex. Again, use promo code BG for 90% off. Ends tomorrow. Gold's still pushing up. Again, gold's the big winner here. I think at the very least, it restarts the volatility cycle of the tariffs, and gold might win from that. And gold is pushing up to 52.20s right now. And Nasdaq still kind of struggling a little bit here, but it's fought its way back up to the 200 exponential. Let's see if we can get over it. We're still flushing down. We're at 24,920s right now under the VWAP here on the Nasdaq. Thinking about shorting it again, but pull myself out. SNDK really back up there? Man. Yeah, look at SanDisk, guys. 690s. Testing 690s for SanDisk. All right, here we go. Factory orders in 5 minutes. Yeah, 18 or 19 for the Apex 25,000 accounts. It's pretty cheap. 18 or 19 bucks. All right, guys, I get SNDK up to 690 again. Nasdaq still breaking down. All right, guys. Nasdaq consolidating here. We got 3 minutes left. Walmart. Yeah, again, I'm watching the catalyst here. Nasdaq's kind of flat. It doesn't know what to do. It's trying to push back up. I'm going to cover factory orders in 2.5 minutes and again cut out of here probably. And also try to figure out, as well as try to figure out what's wrong with my monitor that keeps glitching today. We'll get it fixed before tomorrow. 2 minutes left. Factory orders they get expected at 0.2%. 0.2%. 2.7% previously, though. All right, guys. Nasdaq did break down. I should have bought it. All right, here we go. Factory orders. About to go live right now. And again, we're going to cut out of here as soon as it happens. All right, so factory orders, again, expected at about 0.2%. They ended up showing up at... They're expected at negative 0.4% to 0.2% for December. They ended up showing up in 5 seconds. Let's see if they move markets. I don't know. Nasdaq's pretty flat right now, bouncing off of 24,900s, that level we have on our chart. But again, factory orders showed up at negative 0.7%, weaker than expected. Negative 0.7% for factory orders, weaker than expected here. So again, guys, with that said, again, I'm going to cut out of here. You can use promo code BG on Take Profit at the very top of the screen, at the very top of the chat, or Apex, 90% off sale wins tomorrow. BG. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Again, we'll be back tomorrow, bright and early. We do have ADP's labor report tomorrow. So again, we will see what we get. Factory order's not really big enough to move markets or have a timer up. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a great day.